Well, good morning, dear friends. It's 7 in the morning in Portland, Oregon, and it's just starting to rain. We've had a little drizzle, and the gardens need it, so it's nice that it's going to come. We have been having unseasonably warm, delightful weather, so the plants will all be happy. It's lovely to be here on Groundhog Day again. I do love this ritual. It's so beautiful to gather together like this. I'm going to start this morning with a reading from the Dhammapada. My class on the Dhammapada starts next Wednesday night, so I invite you to join us. I think it's going to be a deep exploration. Chapter 3, The Mind. The restless, agitated mind, hard to protect, hard to control, the sage makes straight, as a fletcher the shaft of an arrow. Like a fish out of water thrown on dry ground, this mind thrashes about, trying to escape Mara's command. The mind, hard to control, flighty, alighting where it wishes, one does well to tame. The disciplined mind brings happiness. The mind, hard to see, subtle, alighting where it wishes, the sage protects. The watched mind brings happiness. Far-ranging, solitary, incorporeal, and hidden is the mind. Those who restrain it will be freed from Mara's bonds. Mara is the representation of temptation in a way, and pulling us in the direction which is opposite to awakening. For those who are unsteady of mind, who do not know true Dharma, and whose serenity wavers, wisdom does not mature. For one who is awake, whose mind isn't overflowing, whose heart isn't afflicted, and who has abandoned both merit and demerit, fear does not exist. And the last one. Knowing this body to be like a clay pot, establishing this mind like a fortress, one should battle Mara with the sword of insight, protecting what has been won, clinging to nothing. All too soon this body will lie on the ground, cast aside, deprived of consciousness, like a useless scrap of wood.
Robert, your sound is kind of distorted this morning.
I'll bail. I'll simplify. Thank you. Simplifying the sound. Thank you for your patience. We have a whole semi-trailer over there behind the house full of electronic gear. Not true. A crew of 50. All right, that might work now. Let's see. I'm going to pull the plug on this. What's going on here? There we are. Preferences. Audio. All right, how's that sound now, Tim?
That's better.
Okay.
That's better. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I was just about to reach over here. This has been going on a while now, hasn't it? This hiding from the coronavirus. I hope you are safe and taking really good care of yourself, using this time to develop a heart and a mind that are worthy of admiration and appreciation. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Refuge in the Buddha, in being awake, in the Dharma, in the way things actually are, and in the Sangha, the community of practice and the community of all life. Around us, the world goes on. We're like camellia flowers or daffodils. We spring into being. We spring into being, and then we have our dance in the sun for a while. And then we vanish. And in the interim, we have the opportunity to dance with each other, to interact, to develop relationships, and to develop our own capacities of loving and compassion and generosity. And our most powerful tool is this capacity of being awake. Being awake and therefore able to make decisions about our actions. Which course do I really want to follow through life? And so we sit comfortably upright. Noticing there's awareness and there's life. Let's take a few moments to cultivate gratitude. What are you grateful for this morning? It can be so simple, just like, well, I woke up. I got to get out of bed again. I had a toothbrush and toothpaste and maybe tea or coffee. Perhaps grateful that our loved ones are all healthy or that they're receiving good medical care. Grateful for this breath. Embrace this breath as it comes and goes. And notice that the breath exists in the context of the entire body, which is alive. And anywhere you direct awareness, notice that there's life. In the Dhammapada reading, there's the mention of straightening the mind like a fletcher straightens an arrow. Someone who's making arrows wants them to be straight. And moment by moment, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, we take responsibility for this unruly mind. This mind which at root is it is the root of all human suffering. So we abandon the practice of intoxication by thought and assume a position of observing curiously all thoughts, all wandering minds, all emotions. Please come home to yourself. Don't be violent with the mind. Coercion really doesn't work. What works is all-encompassing awareness, which nothing can elude. resting back into the reality of this moment. Observing how intimate is the connection between awareness and the object of the breath, or of some sound, some other body sensation, some imagination of the future or the past. No experience is unworthy of our most beloved attention. Every experience is educational. Every experience is liberating. Each breath appears. It then has its lifetime, rises to fullness, changes direction, declines, and disappears. Each thought appears out of nowhere, rises to fullness, disappears. In this practice, we're using concentration and mindfulness to calm the mind, to straighten the arrow. We also practice with a certain question. Does anything last? Is what the Buddha says about all things being impermanent true? So not only do we abide lovingly, caringly, with the breathing, with all other experiences, we also constantly fuel our intuition into this fundamental truth, anicca. And it's not an intellectual pursuit. It's not a philosophical undertaking. It's not a debate about whether it's true. It's resting back in the awakeness of this moment. we continue to make that clear intention to abide in breathing, to return there, and if this is one of those moments when awareness rests easily in breathing, the wandering mind is very slight, emotions are low, we might abandon the effort to be concentrated on breathing and simply open into choiceless awareness. To notice what is. Siren in the distance coming this way, getting louder. The pointillist rain on the roof. The body touching the chair, breathing in. May the persons in that ambulance be touched by our love and compassion. Whenever an ambulance sound comes, I have a little practice I do, which is to wish the person well and the first responders well, and to recognize someone's life is changing. Opening to the mystery of being alive. Once upon a time, 13 point some billion years ago, there was nothing. And then something happened. And there was our universe. At first tinier than the head of a pin and infinitely massive, weighty. And ever since then, all there has been is change. Galaxies forming, planets forming, galaxies disappearing, galaxies colliding, life coming forth, no doubt, on countless planets. Most probably advanced civilizations, spiritual teachings, and then disappearing. The Buddha predicted the end of his own sasana, his own time when the teachings would be available. He said at that time there would be no one practicing. There would be artifacts, but no one would know what they meant. So it's part of our great good fortune to have a living teaching. 120 to 140 lifetimes, generations, since the Buddha. Not long in cosmic terms. And so we come into being, we go through somebody training, and then we do our best to create a stable, predictable world. And we suffer when it ceases to be stable and predictable, when our health gets challenged, or relationships end, or the coronavirus emerges. Probably the 10,000th event like this. And so in our practice we embrace the Dharma, the truth of the way things are. And we notice the places where we hold tight. It can't be like this. I want this to be over. When can things open? We notice our fear. I don't want to get sick. I don't want my loved ones to get sick. And we soften into the normalcy of this. This is just anicca, impermanence, in action. And so we come to cherish this moment right now, whether it's a pleasant one or an unpleasant one. We come to embrace it because this is the life we have. And with the Dharma, we approach these challenges and develop our heart, our compassion and love, rather than staying in the flurry of resistance and fear. Opening. This is the moment of life right now. And it's like this. This is how life is right now. Please let us turn our practice to wishing ourselves well. Perhaps use the great powerful mantra, I love you, with your voice, with your name at the end, rather. I love you. And extending a wish of kindness and imagination, perhaps a visualization, to your loved ones. Particularly to anyone with whom you're having tension or conflict. Wish them well. We're only here for a little while. More locally, the coronavirus will pass. Perhaps some of us won't survive it, but it will pass. Life will go on. So why not love each other? And extending this love to, really to all of us. To those of us who live in the air and the trees and the ground, on the ground and in the ground. To those of us who swim in the oceans and the rivers. May all of us remember our true great nature. And so we reach that moment of stretching again. Notice how the body wants to move. Know what the signals are. And then let the stretching happen. Reclaiming room to live in. And when you're ready, notice the intention to let the eyes open and then let them open. Be a person seeing, or be seeing itself more accurately. Seeing. Take a moment to look around the room you're in, place you're in. Notice seeing, notice objects. Thank you for getting up on a Saturday morning and practicing with me. Hello to those of you on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you also for joining us. If you want to join us on the Zoom stream, you can do that by going to portlandinsight.org and looking for the directions. They're pretty straightforward there. And I guess I want to mention today, maybe Jim, could you do a brief announcement of your thing today?
Yeah, thank you. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to be starting the Qigong workshop that usually occurs on the third Saturday of the month. So I'm remaining consistent in spite of all the change around me. At any rate, we'll be listening to poetry. We'll be stretching and moving as much as we can in this narrow little box. And we'll have plenty of time for sitting. And it's organized in 4 sections. There'll be, a beginning, a middle, and an end of the first hour, and the second, third, and fourth. So if you can't find 4 hours to come, if you just arrive at when the hand hits the 12. There'll be something that will present itself to you as.
How do they find the link, Jim? How do they find the link?
The link
is registration
on the
still
main
open?
Page of portlandinsight.org, and it's down below all the regular weekly things. You just have to keep going down on the page, and there's a link there to register. Thank you.
Thank you. Also today, Richard Lang is joining us at 10:45 to do a headless way practice. And I think the registration for that is closed, but if you decide at the last minute you want to attend, email me, robert@robertbeatty.com, and I can help you with that. Other than that, I guess one more mention of my Dhammapada group that starts next Wednesday. And the invitation to practice being generous with the center and keep it all flourishing. And keep your generosity going. Look for ways to be generous during this period. Look for 2 or 3 new ways today you might be more generous to your partner, for instance, or to yourself. Give yourself some more time to practice. Okay, so I think I want to open up to you folks and hear how it's going in your lives. And if you have any questions, I'm open to that as well. Can I say, there's a question here. From Luna, can you say more about your class that starts next week? Well, it's going to be a nice class. There's 15 people in it as of last night, so it's not going to be huge. It's going to be interactive, like it's going to be a Zoom class. There will be a section of the Dhammapada assigned for the week. And it reminds me, I need to send out those assignments. We'll be using at least two different translations of the Dhammapada. There are hundreds of different translations. And it's the core teachings of the Buddha. So I'm asking people to read them ahead of time, to live with them, to bring them into their practice, to pick one or two stanzas that are of significance to the person. And then we'll gather together. We'll probably sit for half an hour. And then I'll speak about the section that was assigned for the week. And then we'll have conversation about it. And I'm hoping people will really bring their explorations. It won't be a lecture. It won't be an hour and a half Dharma talk. It will be interaction and questions, and the way I really like to use a reading like that to help make sense of it and to incorporate it into our lives. So there. I hope you come, Luna. I think you'd enjoy it a lot. So, anybody else? I open the floor to all of us. The quiet persons.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Could you repeat that link for joining Richard's?
No, I can't, but you can send me an email. You could try to register online, but I think it's been closed.
Where is your email? I'm stupid about this, so.
Oh, that's harsh. Very harsh. My email is robert@robertbeatty.com. It's the narcissist's email. robert@robertbeatty.com.
Okay.
Okay? Great.
Thank you.
And be nice to yourself. This technological stuff can be so challenging. I spent an hour yesterday. My Google, whatever the hell, it's paused, so it won't sync between devices. And I spent an hour dealing with reading tech documents, and it never worked. And it's such a great patience practice.
Robert. It's
Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Good morning. What came up for me in meditation was anger, and that doesn't happen very often. But my mind was all over the place this morning. I couldn't get settled at all. And I'm just angry that part of my mind that keeps me from doing what I want to do. I'm not good enough. I won't be able to get that. I'm too old. Just all this stuff, and it just shuts me down, and it made me so angry. Part of my mind is angry at another part of my mind. Yeah, and this.
You must be a neurotic, ordinary human being. You probably did not receive the link I put on the listserv yesterday, Sherry. I put a link with 3 audio talks on the listserv yesterday about self-hatred and this split that happens inside us. And I have your email. I'll send it to you. I'll send those links to you when we're done. I'll also post them again to the... I couldn't get into my blog yesterday. I've forgotten how to do that. There's so many things to remember, but I'll try to post them also into portlandinsight.org/blog as well. But I'll send it to you when we're done this morning.
So again, I thought very strongly a few days ago when you talked about your talk coming up on Dhammapada. Well, I'd like to do that, and the same thing comes up. Well, you're not ready for that.
You're ready for that. You love it. It in a certain way. We all find on our plate with the teachings exactly where we need something to eat. And there might be someone there for whom they're understanding it in a very deep way. There might be someone else who's understanding it in a very shallow way, and that's where we are. So we just pull up our plate and put up on our napkin and dive in. And you'll find it very interesting.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, and I'll be sure we will certainly talk about this issue of conditioned self-hatred. It's such a common thing in our culture, and so debilitating. Yeah. And of course, the predictable answer to it is turn toward it and love it and open and realize it's not who you are. It's not who you are.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We have some bad habits of mind. That's what we have. Peter, you're coming through like the chipmunks. Unintelligible. Very interesting. Why don't you try again, see? I'm sorry, we can't understand you. Strange. I mean, that could have been just my computer. Did anybody else experience that as chipmunks? No? Yeah. Okay.
It was to me also, Robert.
Okay. Someone suggested that if you stop your video feed, it might be more stable internet for you. No, still the same. Quite the background you got there. It looks like Angkor Wat meets the Swiss Mountain Rescue Dogs. I worked as a ski patrolman one winter in Switzerland, and in the early year, they have dogs that are based around the country, and the handler has to be 5 or 10 minutes max from the helicopter, so they can get to an avalanche right away. And I volunteered to be buried 6 feet under, or at least that deep. They dug a little cave for me, and I got to lie in there. And then they filled it in, and then they all squeaked away, you know, that sound that snow makes. And then it was silent, and boy, oh boy, that was an interesting time. It was about 10 minutes before they set the dogs loose, and Having a German Shepherd clawing its way in was the sweetest thing I think I'd ever seen. It was nice.
Robert, it's Russ.
Hello, Russell.
I had only one question, which is where is the link for the Richard's talk today? I'm signed up for it, but I'm not sure how I get the link.
Oh, the link is on the receipt.
Boy, but it didn't.
We will also. I'll be sure to have Gregory send out the link.
The link did not come on my receipt.
Well, don't sweat it, Russ. I'll have Gregory or do it myself send out the link for it.
Thanks. One other quick thought.
Yeah.
You were talking about mind, and you may have used this analogy somewhere, but as we were going through the meditation, I really thought about Michelangelo, and his famous comment about he didn't create the form, he simply liberated the form that was there by chipping away the extraneous. And I thought, isn't that kind of what we're doing too?
Yeah, letting the extraneous fall away. Yeah.
Hello, Robert.
Hello, Susan. Hi.
It's Susan from my small houseboat in Olympia. Good morning. Thank you very much.
Great.
I'm really relieved that it's raining today, and had a bit of a sense during the meditation this morning of some unfound compassion that I can activate in myself, which was really great feeling. And part of why I'm relieved that the rain has come in is something about how I feel like I'm not suffering at all during this time of the coronavirus. And I'm feeling guilty about my lack of suffering. And the sun was emblematic of that. It was so beautiful for so many days. I enjoyed it. I was on the water kayaking. It was just lovely. Even though I'm working more than ever, I've also, as a result of not traveling, have this opportunity to enjoy nature more than usual.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for the morning and the rain, and
let's remember that the intention of this practice from the beginning to the end is to stop suffering. And that when we're not suffering, when a circumstance could be, when we could be suffering over something, and through the practice we discover we're not, that we wind up accepting it as it is, that's great success. Really. And to be, there's one of the Dhammapada phrases, to be the person in the midst of a crowd of freaking out people, not the language of the Dhammapada, but to be the person who remains at ease and can be stable and loving and compassionate, that then pulls the consciousness of others toward that place. So how wonderful that you're having a nice time during your enforced living on your little houseboat.
I'm even finding ways to make the small space good for yoga.
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? Yeah.
But
Great.
No, that's against my training to think that it's okay not to be suffering.
Yeah. Dominus vobiscum, are you from my lineage?
No, not at all.
I see. Our Lady of Perpetual Suffering. It's the school I went to. Nah, not really. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
I'm gonna try one more time.
Oh, there you are.
This is Alvin.
Hi, Alvin.
Of the Chipmunks fan. And behind me is, by the way, I mentioned Luke yesterday. Luke and I've got a Buddha in the backyard. He always likes to sit with his Wilson ball and Buddha, so it's kind of a picture. But my quick little thing was the I don't know how to pronounce them, but the black-eyed junco, a little sparrow bird with a black cap. Is it junco? A lesson in the impermanence, the coming and going. I've gotten real close to. We have tracked a lot of birds in our backyard and animals and ducks and they leave every year. Apparently, they leave. They're snowbirds and they leave every year. And I was noticing last year they came around in October, and then I was getting concerned that they would leave again, which they always do. And I just noticed the other day that they were gone. They're usually feeding right outside my office, and I felt a range of things, including, missing them, and just like anybody you would miss, but also just a greater awareness of that really powerful teaching that you shared with us, Robert, about the coming and going, and just noticing it.
Yes, it's utter, complete. Thank you. We have another few minutes. It's just turning 8 o'clock. So I invite you to feel inside. Is there something that your heart wants to share? One of the ways we stay isolated from each other is often that we don't think our suffering is valid, or we've been shamed in probably early childhood that don't take up too much space, or you should just be strong, that kind of thing. Well, dear friends, Jim, I hope you have a lovely day. And I hope you all take care of yourselves today. And I will not be on at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, but rather at 10 o'clock, which is the usual, back in that previous distant dreamy life when the PIMC sits were happening. They'll happen again. Oh, 2 participants raised a hand. Please just unmute yourself, okay? Oh, no, there they are. Susan, oh. Susan Wilburn, did you raise your hand? No. Okay. So I'm going to unmute us, and let's have our little song, and I wish you well for the day, and see you soon. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yay! Take care, dear friends.
Thank you.
Hello, Stephanie and boys.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello, Larry. I see you. Huh. Dee and Allison and Larry and Stephanie and Stephanie. Oh, this is fun. Sherry. Hello, Stephanie in Doha.
Good morning, Dee.
Good morning, Lauren. Good morning.
All right, loves. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, Robert. Thank you. Be well.
Off we go. Goodbye, dear friends. I hope you too have a